Hi everyone, it's Religious Fanboy here again, and today we are reviewing Inazuma, the 11 Aries, the episode titled Flame Striker. This episode does a good job teaching a lesson of, of humility um, through the character's development shown through the character Elliot, as well as with some other characters did through flashbacks. Um, except from one short scene, I recommend the episode. Elliot is a pretty egotistical, narcissistic person. It he he's kind of a ball hog in the sense where he kind of belittles the rest of the team as well as their overall importance. And a guest team member who was chosen to be team captain for that game told him that he was going to have him be scorekeeper. And he was very frustrated by this, and his desire for vengeance about the way the curriculum is done by this other school that they were facing their team, due to a backstory involving one of his childhood friends and kind of the educational curriculum of the school, which was called the Aries program, and how that negatively affected that friend, um, as well as his own ego. He became obsessed with trying to score, continuing to score, and tried to play like a shooter, even though his job and responsibility at the time was to be scorekeeper, or more commonly referred to as their goalie. Um, and we see his pride and ego negatively affect his team through them through the first instance it happened. The opposing team scored a goal because he wasn't at the at the where he was supposed to be. And we also see something like this happen a second time, but instead the ball was stopped by the person who was their regular scorekeeper, as well as two other players on their team, having to stop the to prevent the goal because Elliot wasn't where he was supposed to be. But through the game, he realizes the role of a scorekeep, and through that, he was able to. He figured out why the guest team captain had him be scorekeep, and it was a way of humbling him and also thinking about the game and the other players involved besides just himself. And this led to him being more effective at his job as a shooter, as well as led to him, instead of feeling like he had to do it himself, he saw the importance of his other teammates, and began to regularly pass the ball to the teammates as need be. Um, he still plays this off arrogantly in him explaining his reasoning, but this episode showed a beginning of growth for Elliot as a person, and him being humbled in that way, and they just did a really good job with with portraying him learning that lesson in the episode. And now I wanted to read a few passages. I will have them posted in the description just in case I go through them a little fast. First passage I'm gonna read is I'm gonna read Matthew 20, chapter 23, verse 6 until verse 13, and we'll discuss that part and why I discussed that, why I picked that passage. So pause the video, grab your Bible if you have it and you want to read along, and I will start reading this passage. They love the best places at feasts, the best seats in the synagogues, greetings in the marketplace, and to be called by men Rabbi, Rabbi. But you do not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Christ, and you are all brethren. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in heaven. And do not be called teachers, for one is your teacher, the Christ. But he who is greatest among you shall be your servant, and whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Like this talks about how one scene in the flashback, I believe he was the guest team captain for the opposing school. He when he was challenged by the triplets on the team that were kind of the big kind of the ball hogs of that team at the time. He asked two people that had a very hard time keeping up with the regular practices to be his teammates when challenged. And they, through working together, they beat the triplets. Kind of like you wouldn't have thought they would be the people he would have picked, but during them, they got confidence and they were able to help each other. And also we see Elliot learn this lesson through seeing the negative effects of his ego and pride and his actions he made due to those traits during the game. And we see him, like, in contrast, we later see him being willing to pass the ball around and how he was able to instruct other teammates and help them realize their roles and not a egotistical way, but as in a way of for the betterment of the team. And now I'm gonna go on to and that passage also talks about like how the greatest among the men and like of the disciples and the other church leaders besides God, well, along with God and Jesus as examples, aren't meant to be like these high, greater, high regarded officials. Like they aren't meant to be like just put on a pedestal because of a status or title, but as people that are for looked at for guidance. Their job is to be an example for them and help them. Such as like the greatest among you shall be a servant to the others. Even though you might be greater and capable of greater things, for you to be a truly good leader, it also means being willing to humble yourself for the purpose of helping and just putting the needs of those around you above your own needs. Now I'm gonna read one more passage and discuss that. I'm gonna read Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 through 8. Walk prudently when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they know that they do evil. Do not be rash with your mouth, and do not let your heart utter anything hastily before God, for God is in heaven and you on earth. Therefore let your words be few, for a dream comes through much activity, and a fool's voice is known by his many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you have vowed. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay. Do not let your mouth cause your flesh to sin, nor say before the messenger of God that it was an error. Why should God be angry at your excuse and destroy the work of your hands? For the multitude of dreams and many words, there is also vanity, but fear God. Like this talks about like compulsiveness and recklessness, kind of what we see in the actions of Elliot early on in the episode, such as leaving the goal the soccer net unattended in order to try to score on the other team, not thinking of what would happen if the ball would be stolen from him. And yeah, the main lesson to take away from this is for us to do what's right, make good choices for ourselves, as not just for ourselves, but especially in God's eyes and for the people around us. It's gonna take us to be willing to humble ourselves, such as an example of being okay with saying that you don't know something, because when you do stuff like this, like when stuff like this is like that is done, though we might seem smart in the moment, if we are wrong, that doesn't just ruin our credibility and integrity. That doesn't just negatively affect that, but those actions also negatively affect those around us and those who we are supposed to help and guide and instruct and walk alongside in our Christian walks and help them through hardships. I think that's it for the lesson and what I plan to talk about for this video. Next ministry review will be next week. It will be a review of Boruto, the next generation, volume 1. And the main message of that will, well, I have multiple messages and talking points for that one already thought out. I've been reading it throughout this week, and the review will be up next week. But starting 2 weeks from next Wednesday, there will be a ministry review every other Wednesday. I'm not starting every other Wednesday because some things come up in my schedule that would prevent me from uploading a ministry review in 2 weeks from today. So there will be one this week that is coming Wednesday, but there won't be one the following week. So after the Boruto review, I think the plan is a Aquaman review. And by Aquaman review, it will be a review of the live action Aquaman movie. I also plan on reviewing Aquaman Throne of Atlantis because they borrowed certain elements, but there's certain things that are important to like real view aspects of both of those that I really want to talk about and incorporate into reviews of them. So those will be next 2 reviews following the Boruto one. So there's the Boruto one next week, and then there will be the Aquaman. The Aquaman reviews will be up. The Aquaman live action film review will be up in 3 weeks. And Justice League Throne of Atlantis review will be in 5 weeks. So with that being said, may God be with you, and see you next time. Bye.